Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to build your own prop hunt. We're going to start with just the basic settings that you're going to need. So you're going to go in here to your main menu, you select island settings, and all this you can use to like mess with that later. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and you're going to select how many people you want. For my prop hunt, I'm going to select, just do 8. I'm going to make it a rather small prop hunt. On the teams, you're going to want to set that to 2. Also, team size, you're going to want to set that to dynamic, and I'll show you how to mess with that in a later video, more than likely. Total rounds, to go ahead and select how many ever rounds you want. I'm just going to pick 5 for mine. Matchmaking settings. When you come into here, this is like when somebody comes to join your map, you wanted them to be able to be public only, private only, or party choice. Just leave it at party choice. Friendly fire, no, you don't want any friendly fire. Team rotation, this one you're going to want for every round. I don't really mess with the rest of that. Class settings, I don't usually mess with the classes so much with the prop hunts, so I don't, just leave those. You can change it instead of, you can mess with it if you want, but for now I'm going to leave those. Make sure this is the spawn location is the spawn pads. Respawn type, individual. You can set the respawn timer for whatever you want. Spawn limit is going to be infinite. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to set that to infinite, and I can change the team's specific spawn limit in the actual game here in a minute. Lost spawn. This is important. After the last spawn, you're going to want them to go to the other team. So whenever your props get eliminated, they're going to spawn back on the hunter side. So I'm going to have the props as team 1 and the hunters are going to be team number 2. So whenever somebody dies, after they run out of spawns, they'll go to team 2. I don't want down but not out, so I'm going to make sure that's off. Make sure this is off. Eliminated players' items, this is important. Also make sure that that is either set to keep or delete. One of the two, you don't want them to drop it. So I'm going to put mine to delete for now. I'm not going to mess with any of the stuff that they grant upon elimination. Just leave that all at 0. Scoring, turn this down to 0. They don't have vehicles anyway for what I'm going to be doing, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to leave that at 0. Most of this is going to be kind of set where it needs to be. I'm going to go ahead and bump elimination score to 1, so that way whenever a hunter kills a prop, they get a point. Voice chat, that's all going to be set to team. Spectating, you do not want them to be able to see the other team. And condition. Turn that on so that way when all the props are eliminated, the game ends. All teams must finish. Game pad on match point now. That's not good. Okay. All this should be fine. Okay, now for the round in condition, you can set it for a time limit. I'm gonna set mine for 10 minutes. With a countdown timer, eliminations to end. I'm gonna leave that off. Objectives to end. Collect time. Score to end. Since there's gonna be 8. Just leave it at that for now. I can change that later to 6 because there's going to be more props than there are hunters. So if it all works out right, there should be 2 props for every hunter. I'll show you how to make that in just a minute. Round win condition. Let's go ahead and set that to score. Tiebreaker, I'm set to time alive. That post round, all this is fine. Bump down the round display at the end. Yeah, that's fine. And again, you can customize these settings however you want. Gravity's normal. Jump fatigue's fine. Nothing. Turn hurtling on, sprinting on. Another thing, this is the sprinting cost per second. If you want them to not have to worry about running out of energy when they're sprinting, which I usually turn this off to just set it to 0. And the rest of this should be fine. You don't want player flight on. Everything else should be kind of set. Player flight, they can just fly around the map, and you don't really want that. Or at least, especially for a prop hunt. Health and shields should be fine. When we go to adjust the props, whoever's going to be the props, team 1, we can change that in their own settings, and I'll show you how to do that as well. Self-damage, this is another thing. If you want, whenever your hunters to just randomly shoot and keep missing all the time, if you want them to hurt themselves, you can go ahead and set a self on damage, or self damage on hit amount. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So that way they can't just come on in and just spray and pray, you know what I mean, and just eliminate all the props really easily. So that way if they miss, they take 5 damage. I might turn it down to like 3 or something. Especially if they got like a fully automatic weapon, that'll kill themselves pretty quickly. You can set it as low as you want. Pickups, this is also important. For a prop hunt, you probably do not want them to pick up items. And you also do not want them to be able to drop items, so whenever I come across that, I'll turn that off to build mode. I don't want any building in this. I'll just go ahead and set all that to 0. Inventory, there it is. Infinite consumables off. Maximum building resources, you can just leave those all blank, that's fine. Infinite ammo, I will turn this on. And item drop, turn that off. I don't know if that's ever going to come into play, but if somebody does the grapple or fall damage, go ahead and turn that. This is another one that's important to turn off, PvP pickaxe damage. You probably don't want that on for a prop hunt. I mean, you can turn it on if you want, but this can keep you from having to worry about if players damage themselves inside the like the pre-lobby area or whatever. Because the way I usually do it, I use a mutator zone to trigger all the the spawns and stuff, so they won't have a mutator zone enabled when the game starts. So if this isn't on or this isn't off, then they'll be able to damage themselves inside that area. So just go ahead and turn that off, unless you want to do it differently, which is fine. I'm just going to show you how I usually do it, and that way you can go ahead and start with the pickaxe. You can even turn this off if you want, to where they don't even start with the pickaxe, so it doesn't matter at all, but I'll just leave that on for now, it's fine. Environment damage, go ahead and turn all this off, and turn that off. That just enable fire just means that they can burn your buildings and stuff. And then structure damage, make sure that is set to none, that way they can't break through any of your walls or anything that you built. I don't think I really mess with anything much in here. You can set the time of day. I usually kind of set it more for like a morning time. All this is fine. You can change so much. You can even make it look neo-comic. There's a lot of stuff you can do on this. But I'm just going to leave mine at the default for now. Change fog and all that stuff. You don't have to do any of that right now. HUD info type. So I'm going to set that to score. I'm going to keep the top center one off. The max trackers and HUD, I just bump those up to 3, whether I use all 3 of them or not. I usually just set it to 3. That way I can use all 3 if I need to, and if I don't use them, then I don't use them. And I'll go over trackers probably in a later video. I don't think I'm going to have time in this short 15 minutes that I'm allowed. Yeah, just leave all this normal. Bump this down to 7 seconds. The first scoreboard column, I want to set the score. And the next one, I'm going to set the time alive. Okay. Let me mess it to that, debug and all that. It should be good for all the settings. Okay. So that's going to be it for your main settings. You can go in and fine-tune those later after you realize that, hey, this ain't working, or hey, I need to do this, or whatever. But for now, we're just kind of left with this open grid area. So I'm going to go ahead and build up a couple little things real quick. I'm going to start off by building a pre-lobby area. I'm just going to build that up real fast. After you got your pregame lobby area built, I usually make mine 2 stories just so it's a little bit taller or whatever. You can add stairs and decorations in here later. But after you got this little area built, next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to go to this and you're going to select a couple things. First things first, you're going to want a timer device. You're going to want team settings and inventory. You're going to want some player spawners. I'll grab a checkpoint, but I may not get to that this time around. What else? There's some other things. Mutator zone, that's very important. A teleporter. Need an item generator. Item spawner, not item spawner. Item granter, there it is, that's what I want. Okay. I'm gonna go over these real fast. So you're gonna want to go into an area that nobody can really see. So usually they do on top or kind of out of the way, out of the side. And then you just go ahead and pick one of those. That drops it off, okay. So start placing those.